Mish, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
No, I really appreciate it. And obviously, you've been doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess for to start off with, what's been happening? How you been? What's been going on?
Everything. I feel like, when was I last here? Late last year, a few
6
months
months ago?
ago, 6
Yep.
months ago. At that stage, I just launched into Legacy Hour, what I call Legacy Hour. So, we've built the IT company, Downtime Assassin. Things are amazing there. And I'm like, let's start another company and help women with the wealth creation. And it took off. Like, I was there to spread the word, and women, they needed it. They were ready for that conversation. So that's kept me very busy. We've been on stages, podcasts. So last week, I was invited on a stage to speak to 400 women at International Women's Day,
Hell yeah.
Crown Towers. And the feedback afterwards, it's the same. I get to meet real women, business owners or not business owners, that want to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And so I'm just all here for it. So I'm like,
Love it.
let's do the podcast. Let's get the word out there. So yeah,
Really cool.
I'm busy.
And so, because one of the cool things, because I saw one of your posts on social media,
Yeah.
where last year you were one of the attendees.
That's correct.
This year you're speaking.
That's exactly what happened.
How did that happen?
So I went there, essentially, as I was saying, the IT company was, it's humming. It was 13 years in, making great profits, everything's buzzing. And then you think, okay, what's next? As business owners, we're wired a bit differently, and we're always looking for that next project to work on. So I wanted to just get out from success behind my desk and go and meet some more business owners. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. Let's do International Women's Day event. There was an incredible speaker there that I wanted to hear. She'd built a business with her husband, had an incredible exit payment, and I thought, I need to hear her speak. Sitting in the audience, there was, an entire ballroom full of women in business. I'm like, where was this my whole life?
Heck yeah.
And so listening to some of the speeches, people who've built these incredible companies, upscaled over 3 years to 10 million and sold. And I'm thinking, what? There's so much potential that we're all sitting on.
Yeah.
And so to be in that room, I left that International Women's Day last year thinking, on the way home, I remember driving thinking, I've got so much more in the tank. There's more to the reason that I'm here. There's more to my purpose than just, the one company. And yeah, I just started brainstorming, well, how can I use my skills? Like, how can I bottle up what I've been doing for a couple of decades and put that into some legacy work? And that's how it started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I guess there was a small part of me that saw the women speaking on the stage. And when you have that, just that feeling, like that desire, that you see someone doing something and you've just got that feeling inside that I could do that too. And like I talk to women about this, and some people call it, some people might look at that and think it's like jealousy. When you see somebody achieving something or doing something incredible and you have this pang, like, oh, like I would like that. But I think, like, lean into that. There's a reason why you're looking at that thinking that's awesome. So rather than thinking, oh, they've got it, I don't, like, use that as evidence of that's for me. There's a part of me that says I should be speaking on that stage. And absolutely you should. So yeah, I say to women now, when you have that feeling, that's desire, and follow it and celebrate it. So, a year later, I saw an email come out saying, do you want to apply to speak? And I was like, might not get it this year, but I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And sure enough,
That's
email
amazing.
comes through, they picked me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
One of the things you just mentioned, and I think this is really, really important. Obviously, some of the stuff all the stuff you've been doing is around mindset.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you and I probably agree that when it comes to really achieving anything, like the first step is mindset.
Yeah.
And, if you think you can do it or can't, you're probably correct. People see winners or successful people or people, on a quote unquote pedestal, right? A bunch of people look at that and think, oh, I can never do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's a very small portion of people that think I can do that. And then obviously we watch the trajectory of their lives and two different ways of living. The reason why I bring it up, when I was growing up, I've got a very wealthy uncle. Now when I say very wealthy, he owns a couple of big Toyota dealerships here. But he was always one of those guys where, like, I didn't really have a whole lot to do with him sort of growing up. Like, I didn't really hang out at his house all the time and stuff like that. It was more so, holy shit, our family's, here, he's over there.
Yeah.
But what that told me as a kid is it's possible.
Well done.
That was all I needed.
Yeah.
And again, if I let's just say, for example, you have no one in your life who is successful, wealthy, right? I can definitely appreciate the fact that you may not actually see that it's possible.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Whereas like having someone that's an example who, and really it's you taking responsibility and saying, I actually can do that, and then all of a sudden things just happen, and the choices you make and the actions you take,
Absolutely.
it's in line with that, and all of a sudden you did two different lives.
I mean, we're co-creating. We absolutely are. So you can co-create and spiral down if you are always focusing on the negatives or the cost of doing something. Or you can co-create and look at that, like you say, as evidence, as spiral up. Well, how do I take a step in that direction if that's something that I would like? But firstly, like you say, it's celebrating that. Like, rather than seeing the person who has the thing and dismissing it as they must have done something shady to get the money, or, they're not a good person, making all these assumptions.
Or jealousy and resentment.
Jealousy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And rather than that, actually look at that and celebrate that. I've trained my brain to do this to the point where it's my default. Like, I see anyone doing anything epic and I'm immediately clapping. I'm like, that is so cool. Like, look at what they've built. Look at that business they created. Look at the life that they are living. Like, this is incredible. So I use that as evidence that is a possibility.
That's awesome.
And so in that way, you just edge ever so closely, spiral up, and you eventually co-create that as your reality. Because think about it, if there's a part of you saying it's bad to have the thing, or you look at it, you want it, but you are judging it, then there is no part of you that is going to allow that into your world, because you are saying that you don't want it, that it's a bad thing. So rather than looking at it as a negative when somebody's succeeding, you look at that and think, that's incredible, celebrate it. Your brain is wired to thinking, that's amazing. How do I get there? I would love that. Yes, I would love that. Bring it in, draw it in. What would it feel like to have achieved that? Surround yourself in that energy, and it's a whole different vibe that you're putting out and a whole different world that you're creating. And that's how we do it.
That's amazing. And look, I think what you just said is, if people could embody this and live by this, we would have a different world.
Yes.
Completely different world.
Yeah.
So being the case that you've obviously been doing this for or it's almost been sort of 12 months now that you've been sort of on this path, yeah?
Look, I would say I launched in August, September last year. So it's really, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. So really, I mean, you've obviously seen a big scope of women who've come through your door.
That's right.
Right? From a mindset perspective, and again, in this conversation of, seeing success and either having that empower you or disempower you,
mm-hmm.
like, what are you seeing between the women who are winning and I guess not winning right now?
I mean, there's a multitude of things, but I always say the only prerequisite for following this path is to have a desire for it, to just be willing to actually sit with that feeling that you want it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are even so detached from wanting something if we don't think it's possible, that we've convinced ourselves we don't want anything more, that yes, we're grateful and yes, we're happy, but the more wealth you have, the more impact you can make on the planet. And who doesn't want to make more impact? Who doesn't want whatever project, whatever mission they're on to be widespread? Who wouldn't want that? So I think it's just really my initial job is to open up the door of, do you desire it? And if there is any part of you that feels like, yes, actually, I would desire more freedom, more choice to live a life that feels good, then that is the way in.
Right.
And then we get to work on that. So, and then from there, it's a matter of strategy and the energetics,
Mm-hmm.
because yes, there's absolutely strategy involved in this. The energetics is incredible, but I do feel like we need the physical evidence that our reality is changing as well as energetically. Like if we just hold ourselves, okay, I'm a multi-millionaire, you hold yourself in the vibration, but you're not taking any action and actually investing or looking at your cash flow or making any physical steps towards building that future, then somewhere along the line, it's not going to match up and our brains are going to clue in and they're going to say, well, you're saying you're a multimillionaire, but you're not investing or you're not actually doing anything that a multimillionaire would do. So you sort of psych yourself out of it in a way. So it's that beautiful just step of strategy, energetics the whole way up. And it's a beautiful unfolding. So how fast it happens is how willing somebody is to lean into the process.
Yeah.
Really, it comes down to that. Yeah.
And have you seen anyone who, whether it's self-sabotage or they've got their own roadblocks or their own, have you seen much of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The incredible thing about the women that sort of surround themselves with me or with the conversations and we're having them, they sort of call themselves out on it.
Beautiful.
They are so self-aware that they're like, hang on a minute, I think that I might actually be sabotaging this. And it's just because of the space that, hopefully I provide and the way that I think and the way that, we speak about it all, that they sort of start to think, well, that's actually not my internal dialogue. So why is that not my internal dialogue? And is this actually me creating these problems and these blocks? And it can look like lots of things. Like sometimes we can be so busy in our business thinking, but I'm putting all the work in, I'm busy, I'm doing the thing. But are you actually just busying yourself on things that are not really going to give you the outcome so that you don't have to face what you really need to do, which is go take the meeting, sign the paper, get a property, like do the thing that you're nervous about. But I'm too busy over here spinning my wheels and burning out on something that's not creating the future that I want. So I think there is a lot of that going on, but I'm just so proud of the women in my space. Like they see it and they see themselves and they're willing to do the work. They want it. So it comes back to that desire.
And look, you're a conduit of that. If it wasn't for you being who you are, like they wouldn't have the space to be and step out of their own comfort zones. You know what I mean? And that's one of the cool things that I've noticed in the last sort of decade doing this, right? Where it's like when you walk in front of the room or when you're doing your, even private coaching or whatever sessions and the dynamics of it, a lot of it comes to you, and that, like, if you're creating an environment where women are breaking through it, it's because you're creating that space for them. And I've been in many rooms where that space has not been there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's roadblock after excuse, after, conditioning, after trauma, after and it's just compiling, and people just aren't willing to move past it. So that's actually, I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Because that's really, really powerful. That's really cool.
Thank you. And I think, obviously, well, maybe people don't know, but I do have that background. Like I have all my Reiki attunements, my pranic healing. I spent just years upon years in deep meditation, reflection, understanding that connection with spirit, with soul, universal energy, whatever you want to call it. So I think perhaps that's why it comes naturally to me to be able to hold space while we work through the strategy.
Yeah.
So we can hold space and they can show up, bring yourself, whatever that is, wherever you are starting, and they hear my journey. It's from, 25 years old, burnt out in my advertising career, adrenal fatigue, quit, 15K of credit card debt, 15K of HEX debt, like in debt, just no idea how to flow money. So really they can come to me with whatever. And there is no judgment. I don't see it as anything to judge. It's more, we're all humans, we're all here, and we all have something on our heart that we want to create. And if I can somehow hold space to allow that to happen, then, that's a gift for me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think as well, because and this, right, because we've been doing this for years, but, I've always found, from a very general perspective, there's two things when it comes to success or wealth, right? Mindset and then mechanics, which is kind of what you're saying.
Yes.
Now, I guess from your perspective and your experience, it kind of seems like, the mechanics, we'll put that to the side for a second. the mindset you've kind of wrapped up into a couple of things. One of them is energetics,
Mm-hmm.
which I think a lot of our listeners may or may not know what that actually means.
Yeah.
So when you talk about like the energetics and this is really your I guess your experience in your history.
Yeah.
Firstly, what is that to the listener? And, how can they leverage that and really kind of bring that to the forefront of their own world?
Love this. If I could explain it simply, it's like through all of the years of training and deep understanding, you get to a point where you truly understand that everything is energy. Like it really is energy. Our thoughts are energy. The food we eat is energy. The people we surround ourselves has energy. All physical objects have energy.
Energy. Yeah.
Rooms carry energy. And so when you start to get really in tune with that, then you can start to understand how it's impacting you. We also, of course, thought patterns. So if you think about beliefs that we've held since we were young and they are hardwired into our system. Now, yes, we can retrain our brain. We absolutely can. Like the science is there that we can change it, but we have to actually be aware of it to change it. So thought patterns, if you are sitting in a tank of water and you are pouring out these negative thought patterns and you're not even aware of it, like firstly try to catch yourself. But if you're constantly saying, I'm not good with money, I could never do that, I'm working hard and yet I'm getting nowhere, look, there I go again, I've made a mistake again. If that is your internal dialogue, no one can see it, but it's your internal dialogue. So you're swimming in a fish tank of negativity and it's bringing you down. So really that relationship with ourselves, it needs, like we just have to put all of that in the bin. We can't be speaking to ourselves that way. We need to realize that we are doing the best that we can with what we were given and decide that I'm going to treat myself with kindness, with compassion, that I am doing my best, that I do believe I can change my future reality, that just because I was doesn't mean I'll always be. At any point in time, you can change where you've been. I don't believe, what's that saying where the leopard can't change its spots? It's like, put that idea in the bin. You can absolutely change. So I think once we start changing that internal dialogue, we now start surrounding ourselves and with all that positivity. And it's kind of like when you start thinking about red cars and then you're just seeing red cars everywhere. So if you're thinking, oh, yes, I can create wealth, I can absolutely do that, all of a sudden you see evidence everywhere of how you can build it and people who are building it. And so that becomes your actual reality. Your reality is just all built within your mind. And so that is how we start from within and we build it. So, I mean, that's energetics in a really quick nutshell, but, there is so much to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite funny. One of my very close friends, he's got a landscaping business, and he when he was out on site one day, he saw like the owner of another really successful tree lopping company called Beaver Tree Services, and that's Paul. So he's been on the show.
It.
Now, when my friend Sandesh saw Paul for the first time, he was kind of like, holy crap, like that's the goal. Like this is where I want to kind of go, right? In terms of like, success and all the rest of it. And Paul's got like 150 odd staff. Like it's
amazing,
huge business. The first thing that Paul did when he took him under his wing was pointed him to Buddhism.
Interesting.
And was like, this is the secret. Now, for those who know about Buddhism, it's not necessarily like the actual, it's not necessarily, it's more of a way of living, but like the whole point of it is to like really highlight your own self-awareness, consciousness and energy fundamentally, so it's quite funny, you say that in the sense that and this is just an anecdotal story, when one of my close friends really saw a true wealthy person, the first thing that he said was, that's what you need to focus on, which is pretty powerful. And again, it's one of those ones where the more you do become aware of energy, the more you become aware of yourself and your own BS, let's call it.
Yeah.
Like what I've found over the last few years, it's almost like you go through life way easier. and there's way more you can sort of see. There's way more opportunities out there, and like shit just works,
Absolutely.
and it compounds. And even from my own experience, it's like when you do focus, when you see the energy, when you can focus it, and when you can really understand the transfer of it between people, and even when you walk into a room, and like I walk into the office, right? Most people wouldn't necessarily be aware of their own energy walking in, let alone the energy of everyone else.
Yeah.
That's now probably one of the most obvious things that I see as I move forward. You know what I mean? And again, this is obviously taking on Paul's coaching and Vicious coaching and a lot of the stuff that we've sort of learned over the years. But this is not a conversation people are having.
Interesting.
And the fact that this is one of your main focuses, and really just sort of seeing how this is how this is flourishing for you versus say other people. We're talking the same language here.
Yeah.
This shit's not taught in schools. This is like, because it's not, empirically measured, this is pseudoscience.
Yeah.
And yet we're two examples of focusing on it, and it's actually freaking working and changing everything.
And yet there was that study on, it was a Japanese man who did the study on water, and he basically took water and he was focusing his attention. So one had the word love written on it, and he was focusing every day intention of love towards that water. And then the next glass next to it would be anger, and he was focusing on that vibration. I mean, everything is frequency, everything is vibration. Once you understand everything is vibration, it changes your life. But what he then did is froze the water and then looked at it under a microscope. And the ones that had the love, it was these most purest crystals formed in these beautiful kaleidoscope formations. And the ones with the anger were disjointed, irregular,
random.
And so, we actually can measure this. So I think science is coming a long way to bridge the gap with them both. But yes, when we realize that it is all frequency, it's like to take responsibility of the beacon that we are transmitting. So if we are frequency, it's like, well, what do we want to go out into the world with? Because we're going to attract what we are. So if we can work on ourselves and feel that within, so not just, saying the things for the sake of saying them, like you could speak positive things, but if you're not feeling it within, energy is not going to lie. Like your vibration, it will be off. And so working on that first, going out as that frequency, you will attract that into your life. And, people will look at that and think, oh, that person got lucky. It's actually, they're just an energetic match to that opportunity. And so, yes, it went to them like a magnet. So I think about this with abundance, with money.
Yep.
It will not come to you if you are scared about it. You don't actually want to have it. You don't know what to do with it when you get it. You're repelling it because money is its own energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's its own energy source. And I've had a lot of interesting experience with working with the energy of money and understanding how to magnetize it and truly work with it and celebrate it. It's an actual game changer.
So, and this is awesome. So let's say that you were to put some kind of practical, whether it's a daily practice or whether it's like in order to sort of wrap that up as a action, what are the things that you do to elevate that?
Well, I've got to the point, I mean, you can start with affirmations, but I'm at the point where I am that.
Right.
So I have embedded within my psyche that the more I have, the more I can give. The more wealth I have, the more impact I make. Everything I touch, it turns to gold. Like I'm an alchemist of every opportunity. Whatever gets thrown at me, I turn it into gold. So it's that feeling of accepting and celebrating and welcoming the wealth and welcoming more and seeing it as amplifying the good in you. The wealth will amplify the good in me.
Right.
Versus somebody who perhaps if you're going out, you don't have that yet. So I would say just starting to speak to yourself in that way, find an affirmation that works. I'm always in the right place at the right time to meet the right people, to make the right deal, like just speaking to yourself like that.
Yeah.
And realizing that it will just start to be who you are.
Right.
You can just accept, you see an opportunity come across the desk and you just know you are worthy of it. And I'm so ready for it. I have everything within me that I need to excel at this opportunity. It's for me. And so just really working in with that. So I would say, yeah, we need to have the conscious discussion with it first so that we are aware of our internal dialogue, and then it just becomes like autopilot.
So it's just a daily practice, and it's almost, excuse me, it's almost like meditation.
Yeah.
You know, the first time you meditate, so you can't stop your brain. You know, and it's just that practice of come back, start again, come back, start, and you know, after doing that for years, and all of a sudden you can meditate anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think that's a really, really cool thing for people to learn and know and implement straight away. You know, if you do have that negative self-talk, you have to bring it back to positive.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not going to happen straight away. It's time after time, day after day.
That's it.
But after, weeks and months.
You think of that glass of water, and if it's spoken to in a bad way, it's frazzled, it's disjointed, it's not healthy, it's not well. So, yeah, we really just must be our own best friend and just truly like find that connection. So, yeah, and if you can't sit and meditate, then I say to my clients, put on a meditation track and go walk, get out in nature. Walking is an incredible thing. Like, I'm at the gym every morning. I love strength training. That's my jam. But if we're not there yet, walk, get out in the fresh air and put some beautiful thoughts, some podcasts that are uplifting, this one, or music, you know, abundance frequencies. Just get that into your mind as much as you can. I used to do a lot of that. I don't need to necessarily anymore, but all of that vibrational music, just have that be your autopilot, and you can retrain your brain. It's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
But the good thing is, I mean, most of our listeners are like, this is what they want. They want to do better. And my evidence for that, they probably wouldn't be listening to podcasts.
Yes.
I mean, they'd be listening to, you know, the latest rap music and diss tracks. You know what I mean? So that the fact that, you know, they're here listening to this, it's like this is kind of the substance. And again, the way I kind of say this, if you can get 1% better with everything that you're doing to progress, after 10 things, you're 10% better.
Yeah.
That's huge. And people think that's small. That is massive. You know, to be 10% more empathetic or compassionate, or 10%, you know, more efficient. Like, this is compounding over years as it happens.
Absolutely.
You know, so and this is why I love these conversations, right? Because, you know, talk about energy, talk about energetics when it comes to money, especially the very logical people. This goes straight over their head, because it's like it's not tangible, you can touch and physically measure. You know, whereas when we can actually have these real stories of being able to have these little practices in place, like, they implement it and it works and it helps them succeed. And this is what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? This is what we're here to do. And it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Now, with some of the ladies you've been seeing and meeting over the last, what's been 6-7 months, have you seen stuff that really is not serving them? Like, stuff that's like really not working?
I would say I've had women that come to me thinking that perhaps money isn't for them, or it's not their role in their partnership. So perhaps their husbands always managed it and they're unsure whether it's something that they should have a look at or just sort of leave. I always think that empowering yourself with information and knowledge, how could that ever be a bad thing? And what's come about from them saying, okay, I want to do this, and having a discussion with their partners, I want to take this on, I want to see what we can build for our family. And then seeing that now becoming the most beautiful relationship opener, like for the two of them to have discussions, and for the, you know, for the women to actually be like, I now understand not only how to flow cash, how to invest, how to have these conversations when I'm going to meet with, say, someone on your team, what questions should I be asking? Feeling like they are worthy of a space in the room, even around the family discussions. Where do we want to travel, and what do we want for our family, and what's financial freedom date look like? And so I think it's not serving you to remain in the dark about it. I don't think there's ever a scenario where that would be helpful, to remain in the dark. I think it's for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the women that have come to me thinking, maybe I just need some help with my side hustle and charging my worth and bringing in some additional income. Next minute, it's a complete overhaul of what's our financial freedom date look like? What do we actually want to build for our family? And the partners love it too, because, we're all busy. So if there's two of us working on building, that family unit together, that's a great thing. So now they're understanding how to feed all their bank accounts through the software, how to get their cash flow, how to map their financial freedom, how to invest, what different types of investing there is, why we would want to do them. And it's so exciting because you see they sort of light up realizing, oh, I thought investing was really hard. It's like investing is not hard. It's just having somebody who will hold you to the point where you can sign the piece of paper. I often laugh. I make most of my money by signing pieces of paper. It's not, purchasing properties or meeting with my financial planners or meeting with my accountant or my broker or your team. It's just phone calls, signing pieces of paper, putting numbers on a spreadsheet. Like, it actually isn't tricky. It's just, it's having the courage to ask the big questions and understand why you would want to invest. Like, what difference will that make to my entire life if I start investing? Once I sit down with them and show them, I'm like, here, net wealth plan, here you are today. Here's where you would like to go. If we start investing, this is the difference. Additional millions in your financial freedom number. Versus if we don't invest, we play it safe, which is still fine if you want to. Play it safe, pay off the mortgage, save for super, and that's it. That's okay, but they don't actually want that. They don't actually want the play it safe. They didn't come to me to play it safe. They're like, I know I'm made for more. And so I think just opening their eyes to all of that it's honestly, the more knowledge, the more you can immerse yourself in knowledge, in just empowering yourself with knowledge. That's what will serve you. And what won't serve you is just thinking, I don't want to look at it, or I don't want to think about it, or maybe it's not for me. No, it is for you. I would love for all women to understand that it gets to be easy and it gets to be for them too. And they're going to love it. They will absolutely love it. Investing is the best.
Yeah. Well, I completely agree. And a part of me, and I'm going to sound like a crazy person here, a part of me feels like this world is kind of backwards in a lot of ways. Investing is you're right, it's incredibly simple.
Very simple.
And you and I have literally made millions.
Literally.
In the last 10 years of doing this.
My life, if I had not met you and started investing, I wouldn't even recognize that life. I would have less choice, less freedom. I would be more stressed. I would be stuck working with a mentality of I must, even in the company, we don't have that. Yes, we're making good profits, but we sit knowing that we have an asset base outside of our business that should anything happen to the business, we're already set. We have everything we need. Our children have everything they need for the rest of their, how do you put a price on that feeling of knowing you are free, essentially? So, I just think the difference between learning how to invest and starting and being brave enough to say, when the entire world perhaps around you, if you're in an environment where nobody is property investing, the things you're going to hear is the market's going to crash. What interest rate are you paying? What fee does this company want for you to buy that thing? This must be a scam. I don't know if you know what you're getting yourself into. Have you all these things? This is exactly what I was. And I get it. They think that they're helping you by just keeping you safe. But keeping me safe would have been a paid off mortgage, no wealth. A paid off mortgage is just a house to live in, and superannuation that I would need to work until I'm 70 or what to achieve. How? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I don't want that reality. So, and just by being brave and doing the thing, it's I just feel like people who don't have wealth will focus on the cost of things. What's it going to cost? What's my interest rate? How much of a fee does this company want? I don't know that I'm going to spend money on getting that information. They're just thinking of the cost. Wealthy people look at opportunity. They're thinking, okay, well, if I do this, what will I gain from this? What opportunities will I create for my life? If we just spend more time focusing on what we will gain from doing something rather than stressing over these tiny details of the costs, it's a temporary cost. Even an interest rate, it's an interest rate. It is what it is. Like, but the opportunity of what you're growing, let's look at that.
Yeah.
That is where your life will change. So, it's like chalk and cheese thinking, not having started this journey versus where we are now. Now it's nearly like we've reached financial freedom now. It's a springboard for what's next.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the end goal, becoming financially free. And, we're close to the net of 5 million. And that was always the number that we thought, well, that's it. That's all I couldn't have even dreamed of building that much money. I just had a little bit of a mortgage paid off, like when we met a decade ago. But now it's like, now that I've got that and my business is humming and I've got a bit of time now, why would I stop? What am I going to do? Hang up my hat and do what? It's nearly like financial freedom needs to be the baseline prerequisite just to get yourself out of lack and out of fight and flight and survival where we are stressed. So get to financial freedom as a minimum standard for then, okay, now what are we going to do with the rest of our life? I'm 41. I'm not like, what am I going to do? Float around on a yacht all day? Like I want to be a part of society, create impact and change. And financial freedom has allowed me to do that. It is, it's an absolute, I feel like it's a necessity. That's the way I see building wealth.
Yeah.
We must do that for ourselves and allow ourselves to get the information to start.
Well, you're right in a way that if you're not financially free, then by default, you have to work to survive.
Yeah.
And if you have to work to survive, like you don't have time to be really truly satisfied and fulfilled. Sure, you can think that your job is satisfying and fulfilling because you enjoy it, but you're just resigned to slavery. You're just trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Yeah. But you're right in the sense that like if you can put that to the side, you're financially free. You now actually have ultimate choice. Life really starts then.
Yes.
Really starts. Unfortunately, majority of people never even hit that point.
Look, and I feel like this is, in a way, a big part of my mission. People are like, what's the message? Like, what are you here to do? What change are you trying to create? And it really is taking humans out of lack into abundance. Because when we are in lack, we are in fight, flight, freeze, survival mode. We don't even have access to our entire brain. Mm-hmm. Half of it's switched off because we can't access the creativity. And so over here, then, if we can get you over into abundance, where you have more than enough and you serve from that place of oversupply, then you can actually access the parts of your brain that can think big picture. How do we actually solve the real issues on this planet? Like if we were in that state of we had time to ponder, to think, how can I use my skills for the big issues versus over there in lack where you're like, I'm just fighting to get food on the table, to get the mortgage paid, to get my kids into school. We don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to create real impact. So I would say it feels like a basic human need that we are not in lack, that we move over to abundance. And I feel like our generation has the opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. We're so well geared to create this. I don't even feel like our parents' generation, certainly not my grandparents' generation, had this opportunity. So I feel like we need to do this now. And there will be, in the generations to come, there will be more of a divide between the people who have stood up and started to create wealth for their family line and the ones who haven't. I don't want anyone to get left behind. I want everybody to be thinking about not just their generation, but their kids and their kids' kids, and just start the wheels in motion today, because you'll thank yourself. Like I look back at our first meeting 10 years ago. I had a newborn, little Colin, who's now 9. He was a few months old. And I'm thinking, I don't know anything about property investing, but I knew that I had to do something. And so I would just, if you're listening to this and you just have that feeling like, well, I don't know what to do, but I also don't want to stay where I am, then just start moving, get the information you need, and just be brave. You can do it.
Well, you've brought up a really important point. I mean, by default, I would say majority of people are in famine mindset.
Yeah.
To go from famine mindset to abundance mindset is a choice.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that most people like. You know, I've had this conversation recently with my wife Nicole. So, she's kind of grown up, and look, I grew up too with that sort of family, and that was from parents and conditioning, and it's just
down.
Default.
It makes sense when you look back a few generations going through war and actual famine. Of course, we were wired that way. Like, it's no fault of theirs.
Of course,
it's literally
it's conditioning.
Yeah,
and you know, a part of that is seeing that and then making the choice of doing the same thing, or seeing that and making the choice of doing the complete opposite because you don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it is a choice, and it's a choice that everyone has access to literally right now.
Yes.
And it's not something that, you know, they've got to listen to a podcast or read a book or, you know, drink some magical potion, then all of a sudden they're going to have it. But no, it's a choice you can make literally as of this moment moving forward.
Right.
Which is, you know,
everybody's stopping right now to
but
motivate.
But even when it comes to abundance, like the way I explained this to my wife the other week was, you know, so she's stay-at-home mum, right? If all goes to plan, she'll never work again.
Beautiful.
Right? Because then I'll continue doing what I'm doing.
Important job.
100%, right? But, you know, so we've got a shared bank account, and, you know, we have this kind of joke that this shared bank account, the money just doesn't stop. Like, it's just like infinite. Like, I don't have to go to work, and this card I keep tapping, and it's just, there's always money there. Like, how the hell does this happen? But it's like, that is abundance mindset.
Yes.
Just what you've said. Think of it like this. Majority of people are going to be working for most of their lives.
Right.
Which means the majority of people will constantly have money coming to their account nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
Your money is abundant.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you make fuck all. You know, your money, like the money is going to continue keep coming in. So it's like you've almost got, yes, you're exchanging your energy to make that money right now and time, right? Understood. And this is obviously what we're trying to break people out of this cycle. But the point is, even if you are stuck in that job you hate, your money is actually, like, it's coming in, and it's not going to stop coming in unless you stop working. So it's like, there is abundance there. You just got to see it.
Right.
And then once you start seeing it, you kind of can't unsee it. And then shit starts to really compound. Because again, you're out of that survival. You're out of that, you know, like, everything is limited. Everything is, you know, tight. Everything, like, nothing's working, versus money's always going to keep coming to this account.
Beautiful. Yeah.
We just got to now work it and now do something with it and actually take the actions, put the mechanics in place, put the strategy in place. All of a sudden, you're living a different life.
Absolutely. Pop it on autopilot.
Autopilot
investing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually, this is another really cool one too. I was one of the posts you made recently was like something along the lines of like the 10 things that, you know, 10 lessons or 10 things that we need. You know, one of them was like the hack is put on autopilot.
Absolutely. We do not need another thing to think about.
No.
Like, get it on autopilot. And, you know, I have a cash flow system that I use with my clients, but I use it for myself too. I actually, you know, 5 investment properties, you know, the multi-million-dollar business that's bringing drawings in, profits in. I've got the side hustle happening. There's a lot of moving parts. Kids, there's employees to pay. I need to know all of my bank accounts, where they are and what's happening. So my system is more complex, but we don't all need a complex system. We can have a very basic system. Just pick a number, put it on autopilot, aka a automatic transfer to an investment account. If it's your property account, if you don't have property yet, then just set a number and it starts filtering off. And the job of that cash now is to build wealth for your future. The end. That money, if we can put money into invest, so everything that I put into my properties is essentially bringing in money after money. Like, that's now compounding. So rather than, I think this whole savings thing, I feel like savings is a trigger word. I don't like talking about like saving cash. I don't think cash likes to be saved and hoarded into accounts and like hung on to so tight. No, we flow it. And so it's not a savings. It's actually the job of you are spending on investments. Go spend it over there, buy some beautiful assets, keep feeding those assets. And those assets are going to compound and compound. It's like I always say, it's sort of a little bit like farming where we need to plant some avocado trees, mango trees. Like we need to actually plant the seeds for these investments that we may not even need the fruits of for 10, 20, 30 years. But we know that by just keep watering it and your generation, the next generation, they're going to have an entire forest of trees to enjoy. So it's like it's our duty to put that money to work over there to start bringing in all of that cash for later. So yeah, I just feel like, yeah, we don't need to be saving. You've got to put your cash into something, get it into the market. It'll get eaten by inflation sitting in accounts. Sure, we have our cash buffers, have a bit of a cash buffer, but no, the rest of it, like, let's invest.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Savings is a scam.
Yeah, that works.
Saving, putting money into a savings account for a funny story. So, around the time when I was working with you remember I was working with my parents as well.
Yes.
So they helped them purchase 3 properties in Brisbane back in 2016.
That's when we got our first 2. And in fact, that was the deciding factor when Corey comes to the room and he says, okay, this is where we would like to get your first properties. And I'm also buying my parents a property there. And I thought, look, if he's getting it for his parents, It's got to be good. And they've done really well, great assets to have in the portfolio. Yeah. They holding on to them.
Retired last year.
Oh, congratulations.
31st of December, both of them. Yeah.
Amazing. Well done.
And look, that's, it's quite ironic because at the beginning, they were obviously very skeptical.
Of course.
Because they were kind of like, our son, who's not supposed to know more than us, is now giving us, so it was a bit of a cool dynamic. But, they're literally at the point now where they're retired. All of their friends are still working, and now all of their friends are getting resentful toward. Well, I wouldn't say resentful, but they're like, "Oh,
how the
fuck did you do that?" Like, we've been all in the same sort of careers,
saving the cash,
like saving and working hard.
Yes,
my parents for the last 9 years have been working smart instead.
Yes,
and now all of a sudden, the wealth is completely different situations, right? But coming back to the savings, because again, my mum was always one of those ones where it's like, I've got for rain, it's an emergency. Yeah. I need to have like that 80 grand sitting there.
Right.
Mum, when was the last time you needed 80 grand for an emergency? Never. Cool. You're fucking wasting your time here. like having this money sitting here to make you like, it's I understand, like, yes, we need to make sure we've got buffers. Yep. Yes, and we need to make sure that we've got risk mitigation and if you lose your job, we've got 3 months worth of expense.
Right, like your insurance is in check, income insurance, all of that.
But this whole concept of, you need to have money hoarded for a rainy day. When was the last time you went and spent freaking 40 grand on a rainy day? Like, it's just the whole mindset around it is just, but again, it's going back to like the condition, right? After World War II, really it was the banks. Firstly, and again, I want to sound like a crazy person, so I've just got to be mindful.
Go for it.
But like, if you look at the profits of the central banking system since World War II, they have been consistently the most profitable corporations on the fucking planet. Why? Mortgages and hoarding people's savings and convincing people that savings is the smartest thing to do with their money, so that it's all piled into the banking system.
Wow.
The bankers are just reinvesting it, and they're not keeping fucking savings because they know what they're doing. And all they're doing is just reinvesting it and compounding their own wealth, meanwhile convincing people that saving is the best thing you should be doing. The whole thing is just, it's a scam. Like, the whole thing is nonsense. And, again, it's having this mindset of, it's savings as a famine mindset.
It is. I see it as a lack mindset.
Yeah.
It is. And how are you going to beat inflation? It's like, I just can't even. It's like, take that savings, go leverage it, go get some cash from this bank that's already making all the money, right? Leverage it, use the systems that are legal, that are in place to go build wealth. Like, I nearly feel like it's unfair that I get to generate wealth out of something that I'm leveraging from, some equity and some bank loans. But the thing is, I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm literally on podcasts, on stages, trying to say, everybody, you can do this too. It's not just for me. You want some wealth, you want to make those multi-millions, you absolutely can do it, but you might need to learn how to.
Yeah.
And then be brave enough to actually do it. Actually do it. You know how many people get to the stage where they're like, yes, it sounds like a good idea. Yes, I'm going to take the meetings. Yes, I want to invest in property. And then it's like, just can't get to that next step, because then it goes back into the what if. And sure, like you say, risk mitigation. Yep, we need to have a cash buffer. We need to look at how long will it take to build, all of those things. We're not going in blind, but you've kind of got to be in it to actually, if you're not even in it, then you're not going to get the rewards. And you'll look back and, you will. So your parents are retired and they're living their best life. So are mine.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's available. So
anyone can do it, and this is the best thing. When people, you're right, people will think, oh, not for me. That's not in my cards, or that's not what my purpose. It's all nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, sure, not everyone can do it. Anyone can do it though.
Yeah.
I mean, like we all can't become barbers. There's just not how the economy works. We need plumbers. But anyone can do it. Yeah. And that fundamentally is, I think, where most people, I think they kind of sell themselves short, with obviously, conditioning or belief systems or whatever their roadblock is. But no, it's I'm, and I know I've said this to you a couple of times, Mish, but I'm super proud of you. You're doing awesome.
Thanks, Corey.
And I think if there was, you are the goal for what we do. And really, it is about helping people just break out of the economic slavery. Then they can go focus on the difference they want to make on the planet. Like that.
Right.
That is the goal.
Yeah.
That is the goal for everything we're doing here. And like I said, I think what you're doing now is not only making the world a better place and making our society and really our community better and stronger, but the impact you're making for other women, there's going to be women you're going to start saying that are going to want to do the same thing to you, or the same thing that you did for them, right? And it's like that's where we're starting to build a chain of humans who are drawing a line in the sand, saying, screw living that normal life that society tells us to live, where we're economic slaves for 70 odd years of our life.
That's it.
And it's like, you and I obviously want to scream this from the rooftops, hence why we're doing this, right? But it's like the when we can see, the ripple effect upon ripple effect upon ripple effect of the chain of people that are doing now what we're doing because of what we've done. And again, I was taught all of this stuff, not from any particular people, but with books and own research and stuff. And look, I've had a few mentors as well that have really given me those pivotal moments in my life where it's like, holy shit, never thought of it that way.
Yeah, right.
And all of a sudden, my life is completely different the next day because it's implemented. So, and those guys have been incredibly important. But the same thing, it's like they were taught that.
Yeah.
The person who taught them was taught that from somebody. And when I think of in martial arts, so I obviously do jiu-jitsu, right? Which I want to talk about afterwards, by the way.
Amazing.
Because our gym's just in Balcatta, near where your gym is. You guys should come down anytime.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah,
afterwards.
Our office is around the corner too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whole tech team over there working hard.
100%. Yeah. But and the only reason why I say that because I saw you guys doing some CrossFit running down the Arundel Road.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Cam.
Yeah.
I saw him. I was like, man, we need to get in the gym and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing some jiu-jitsu.
Loves his CrossFit.
But what I was essentially getting at was actually what I was getting at. What were we talking about?
Can I just say firstly on that too is I used to get so frustrated and fixated when I was younger, like the 20-year-old out of uni, out of the schooling system, just like I wanted to make an impact. I saw issues with the world. I was frustrated with the way things were done. And it felt like I was just beating my head against a brick wall because no one would listen to you. You couldn't really make any impact. And it was like, in a way, I felt like I gave up at 25 and went within and went, well, if I can't fix this, then I'm just going to find peace. But actually, if only I had known, and this sounds a little cliche, but it's like once you've built some type of wealth behind you, you will have the options, you'll have the choice, you'll have the freedom to then go do what you wanted to do back then when you just couldn't do it. The amount of doors that open for you as you start to build wealth, the people that you meet, it's an expansive world out here. And I feel like I don't even know like the half of it or the quarter of it. Like I'm barely just getting started, but seeing wealth as a way to, rather than getting frustrated, to actually amplify your impact. It is just the most beautiful way in to your purpose here. And so for me, I feel like there's no way I would hold this information to myself. Like that wouldn't be natural. I want every single human to have this information. So I want to know what they're going to get up to, basically. I want to know what they're going to do with their financial freedom. I want all these incredible people with missions on their heart to go and do the thing. Like that to me, that is change. Like that's going to make an impact. So what am I, 41? So how many years have I got left to spread the message? Heaps. Imagine what we can go do, right? So yeah, this is the way, and I'm excited. I'm just every single human literally drops into my DMs now and tells me their story and says, can you help me? And I'm like, yes, absolutely I can.
Oh, yeah.
It just feels like I can't wait to see what they're going to do next with their wealth. And so, this is the way we do it.
Yeah. And it's exciting. And you know, like I was saying before, I kind of feel like the world's inverted because it's what we're talking about. It's not like this isn't a secret.
No.
Yet notice how society is not set up for it.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's almost like...
I'm sure there are people that look at my story and they look at and having to post my numbers because I have to say, like, look what you can build. Without posting the evidence of the thing that you've built, I have to keep talking about the properties I own and then the profits in the business and like, look at the things, because it's like people just can't believe. But how? How do you go from debt to multiple millions? You know, how could that be? But it's like, this is the wild thing. It's like we're showing you you can do this if you want it, and really all it takes is desire. But we are working against the programming that we grew up with. Yeah. The way that I guess the structures that design us to be excellent workers. Yeah. But I do think, I speak to a lot of business owners, and I do think entrepreneurs are a special breed. We're deep thinkers. We see the world slightly differently. We're looking for solutions. And I think, as a business owner, my message at the moment really is about building assets outside of your business as well. Yep. Like using those beautiful profits you're making in your business to filter into an asset base. Yep. Because business, it's high risk, high reward, amazing. I want to be in the game of business. You never know when your next big win's coming. It's like an actual rush, building and running businesses. I love it. But just to have that safety net of the assets growing alongside of it, don't let all of those profits just go up in smoke, start filtering them in and building the asset base. So I think people are getting it now. Yeah. They're understanding that we can't just invest in our business. We need to invest outside of it too.
And it is a I mean, not only is business highly risky, but obviously there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of energy you need. Even now, like I've done 40 hours this week so far.
Corey, I don't know anyone that works harder than you.
But I'm not trying to say it to brag, right? It's actually that's actually a negative because I've got a family and 2 young kids that I've got to look after. So it's actually a problem. But the point is like my property portfolio doesn't require that.
Exactly.
It doesn't require the energy. It's just simply set and forget. And it's even over the last couple of years with how the Perth market's grown and Brisbane market's grown, it's like I have actually made more money in my portfolio than this business.
I say that openly, that my assets outperform my business. We do like 2.5 million of revenue through, I think it was just under 500,000 profits. My portfolio did double that. Yeah. Done. And I, didn't have, but also I would, I do love business. I love business. I'm obsessed with, you want to provide that value for your clients, and it's exciting building a team, and it could be exponential. You never know when the next big break is around the corner. Plus you're impacting lives, you're on your mission. So we wouldn't, just investing, I might just get a bit bored. What would I do?
100%. And the other thing too, it's like, there's, for a lot of people, especially the listeners who listen to this, and even a lot of your listeners, it's business may not actually be the best thing for them. Whether it's their temperament, their stress levels, what they can handle, how much time they've got, how much energy they can use, how good are they at managing marketing and sales and operation and all these different things that you've got to.
You have to be slightly, mental to be in business.
You've got to be an absolute psychopath. And I say that with love.
Going every time you get hit down, you're just like, I'm going to go again.
And that's not necessarily a negative in the sense of like we're not doing things, bad for people that are malicious or sociopathic.
It's just
more,
we're on a mission and we can't be stopped.
Right. It's well, the way I kind of see it, it's like you have to be so obsessed and willing to block out all of the noise and do the things that everyone else is telling you not to do.
Yes.
And that for a lot of people is hard. And that's why I say it's kind of psychopathic. It really...
You really do have to be obsessed with that.
You have to be.
I mean, we're 14 years into the IT company and we're obsessed with that company. You have to be.
You have to be.
Has to be the thing you're thinking about.
And
always tweaking, refining.
Yeah. And that isn't really the best thing for some people.
Right. And like you say, you can have a beautiful income, have your pay as you go, filter it into investments. There's still ways out.
100%.
You don't,
I mean, like most of our clients don't have businesses.
Yeah.
They just have normal, PAYG incomes, right? And still they become multimillionaires.
Incredible.
So it's one of those ones where it's like it doesn't, business isn't necessarily, required to do this.
No, definitely.
Especially in the sense that, really the ideal dream, and this is, I guess, what it always comes down to. It's having the income that you want to produce without any time or energy.
Yeah. That's
the goal for most people, right? So whether it's $100,000 a year, $200,000, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. Everyone's goals are different. But it's like if you can get to that point in 15 years where you're now in a position where you don't actually have to work.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to go and you can start a business now. You got the time.
Yeah.
You can go and sit by a pool in Bali and have fun with your family and not have to worry. Or you can go and focus on what impact you want to make. This is exciting. And yeah, Mish, I'm loving what you're doing. I think this is awesome. I really do.
You too.
And I'm well and truly looking forward to seeing how you grow and how this goes, because this is very inspiring.
Thanks. You're inspiring. It's
hell yeah.
I just think this is great. And it's all about your environment too.
Yeah.
I love hanging out with people in their purpose, doing what they came here to do, and together that's how we make the change.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Well, before we finish up, is there anything that you think, any final thoughts, anything that you can think might help people?
Final thoughts is you're so much more capable than what you even realize. So let's just put the self-doubt to the side.
Yeah.
We don't need to be having any self-doubt. Back yourself. Absolutely back yourself. Go all in on your dreams. If you have a dream, it's for you. You wouldn't have had the dream if it wasn't for you. So let's get to work on it. Validate yourself with that.
Yeah.
It's real. Allow it to be. And then surround yourself with expanders. Like I said, having a conversation with you, incredible. We need to be surrounding ourselves with people who are either where we want to be, and just stop listening to the noise of the people who aren't where we want to be, and just get to work. You can do it. Do the thing.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
So Instagram. So I'm Michelle Rule Millionaire Maker now.
Love it.
Because essentially that's what we're doing. We're making
Yeah.
self-made millionaires.
Yep.
And so that's where they can find me on Instagram. I've got a free Dream Life calculator that will calculate their financial freedom number. So
Beautiful.
You can go on there, log in. I've got plenty of free masterclasses that they can watch. So come hang and come say hi.
Love it. Awesome.
That's it.
I
Thanks.
appreciate the heck out of you. Like I said, you are well and truly our goal. So I hope to God more and more clients walk this path like you're walking. So I really
And they
appreciate
are.
it.
They already are.
Love it. Love it. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks, Corey.